Hey everybody, before we get into this week's episode, a few housekeeping notes. First of all, happy holidays and thanks for the support again this year. If you're new here, we're an adaptations-focused podcast. We come out every other Thursday, and we also have a bonus episode we do once a month, so check those out. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow, subscribe, whatever you have to do. Give us 5 stars. Follow us on Instagram at Rewatch Play Podcast. You can email us at rewatchplaypod@gmail.com. Nick won't answer, but I will. On with the episode.
I'm an idiot! You're an idiot!
Welcome to Read, Watch, Play, your dive into the stories we love and how they're adapted. This is episode 30, and we are spending the holidays in Whoville. I'm here with my pal Nick, who needs to learn how to shave a little bit better than the mayor down in Whoville. Nick, what are we covering today?
That's so rude. Today we are covering the 1996, how about the 1966 TV movie How the Grinch Stole Christmas and the 2000 adaptation directed by Ron Howard, famously starring Jim Carrey. Randy, what's this about?
Long before Michael Corleone, Tony Soprano, Walter White, the world's foremost anti-hero was none other than the Grinch. The mean green machine who lived atop Mount Crumpet had the defining personality trait of hating Christmas. And this upcoming year, he has devised a plan to ruin it for those Kris Kringle-loving hooligans down in Whoville. The cranky introvert, and I'm not speaking about myself, sets out with his dog Max to steal all gifts and decorations from the slumbering Whos on Christmas Eve. As the Grinch waits with glee for them to wake up, he is shocked to find that despite the mass burglary, they are filled with joy to spend Christmas together. This act causes a biological miracle as the Grinch's heart grows and he sets out to right his wrong and partake in the joys of the season with his forgiving neighbors. Nick, that is How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I was going to say that's your best one yet, but you were mean to me about my beard, so I don't know if I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of the Kris Kringle loving hooligans down in Whoville. I wrote that and I was like, man, I'm spitting right now by myself on Saturday morning.
I got bars. I also want to point out Randy made a pun with hooligan.
Yeah. In the notes.
It's like who's as in Whoville. So for those of you who can't see the script, just know that he ate with that one.
Yeah, I went the extra mile. I also don't know if you noticed originally when I was writing this, I called Max Baxter, and then I realized that's the dog from Anchorman, not the Grinch.
I didn't notice that, but I would have ripped you apart if you had said that on this podcast without catching it.
Yeah, and then I threw on the TV movie yesterday, and I was like, oh wait, his name's not Baxter, it's Max. But I knew there was an X in there. That was kind of what I was latching on to. I guess to start, does Nick Hingston like holiday movies? Are you a Christmas movies guy? Do you like the Christmas season? Where do you fall?
The complicated relationship with holiday movies. And as you may know, and as the listeners are about to learn, my mom and sister will not turn the Hallmark channel off between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And I must watch, or I guess not anymore because I don't live at home, but I must have watched 30, 40 Hallmark movies a year. And that's hard. It's this. I mean, there's only so many times I want to see the same plot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they say that Hallmark researchers are close to finding a second plot, and that'll be great for the channel. But until that time, I'm over it.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, you still have to deal with it because Christmas season is the big time of year for it. You spend time with your family in some fashion around the holidays. Yep. Still happens.
I was there for 4 days at Thanksgiving, and I must have seen 6 Hallmark movies, all Christmas themed. And so those are just brutal. I do love the classics. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Die Hard, classic Christmas movie. Gonna watch that every year. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is actually a big fan favorite of mine. I was really glad we did this. Yeah. That's all I got.
Those are the only 2 you got.
Yep. Those are the only 2 I prepared. A Christmas Story is a good one.
Yeah. Not
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a classic.
Home Alone?
Christmas
Come on. Yeah. Home Alone's
still all of them.
Tier. Yeah.
If I say all of them, then you don't have any to say.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the courtesy. Yeah. Home Alone's up there. Santa Claus is very nostalgic. A lot of those that came out during our childhood. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that one.
It is a classic.
Yeah. It's
okay, but we got to talk. You didn't even call me out when I said Die Hard. I kind of expected you to take a stance on that one way or the other. I'm trying to get you on record
Yeah.
with a hard stance on if Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Absolutely a Christmas movie. You put in what defines. So I did my homework yesterday, and by did my homework, I did absolutely no research, and I wrote down a list of what I think is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Defining traits. I would love any pushback or additions. Has to be Christmas music. Absolutely in the movie. Soundtrack has to contain Christmas tracks. The plot needs to overlap with and or Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. If you hit both, you're a sure winner. I think family needs to be a central theme in some regard.
Okay.
And that it being Christmas impacts the plot and the characters' decisions and how the story comes together. I think if you have all those things, it's a Christmas movie, which I think if you go down Die Hard, it is a Christmas movie. This is only happening because it's Christmas Eve, so John McClane is coming to California to be with his family for Christmas and go to a Christmas Eve party. The only reason they're pulling this, heist on the Nakatomi Plaza is because they expect it to be deserted on Christmas Eve. And it ends up that they're all there for the Christmas party, and they have the family coming together at the end to spend Christmas together. That checks all the boxes for me.
It checks all the boxes. Yeah. All right. You heard it. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah. The only caveat I would say, and I don't know if you would agree with this, there could be a checkmate argument that a Christmas movie is defined by, would you watch this movie not at Christmas? And for most Christmas, I'm not going to throw on Elf in June. Probably just not going to happen. It would just feel weird. But Die Hard, I would watch outside of the Christmas season, but I never do because I know I'm going to watch it at Christmas. I'm never, if it was on TV, I would watch it, but I'm never willingly going and putting that movie on outside of December because that's the time to watch it. So that's the only argument I could see the other way.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm not buying it.
Are there any other criteria that makes a Christmas movie for you?
You have to say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, at least once.
Yeah. Okay,
that was
Mr.
one
Cowboy.
of the drinks I had at the pop-up bar last night. It was the yippee. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about Die Hard tomorrow.
What was in it?
A bunch of rum and pineapple, but the pineapple kind of fell apart. And then you were drinking it, you get those little pineapple strands in your mouth. I didn't like that. But it's an all right drink.
I was kind of expecting tequila for yippee-ki-yay. I don't know why, but maybe that's just because we like tequila.
The shots in my Instagram story in the little Santa Clauses.
Yeah, I did see those. Those are cute little shot glasses. I appreciated that. Were you surprised that this TV movie was 26 minutes? Did this not feel like a 8-hour-long epic when we were kids? The original Grinch?
It felt like we picked the wrong source material.
Yeah.
I questioned it for a while. I did a lot of Googling to make sure that we weren't missing something. And that's the original. And I don't remember it being so short. Maybe we just watched it a lot and then that's why it feels long.
Yeah. I mean, time is weird as a kid. It's the same thing with Frosty. That was on TV one year. Frosty,
every introvert's nightmare. So I'm going to say no. It's just coincidental.
Yeah, it's just an archetype, maybe.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
Yeah. Any others you have, or are you good?
No?
Cool. I had one listener comment before we get into our discussion. This came from Logan of the Unbuckled Comic Podcast, member of our Casino Royale episode we did. He said, cheese and rice. First time I've ever seen that. My young family's first Christmas tradition is on Christmas Eve. We all snuggle in bed and watch the 1966 cartoon, and then we watch the 2000 adaptation while present opening. It's a great tradition. I prefer the cartoon, but that's just my old soul. As for the adaptation, I can't think of one way to improve it. They took a 20-minute cartoon and turned it into a spectacular live-action film that follows the story very closely. The only difference is how they expanded on the characters and world. Too bad Disney doesn't understand how to do that. Oh, and Jim Carrey was perfect. The dude is a real-life cartoon. Hard to argue with any of that.
Yeah. Spot on. Podcast over.
Yeah. Do you have any Christmas morning traditions? Like Mr.
When
Unbuckled?
we were little,
Yeah.
what we used to do is me and my sister would be awake, well before my parents, obviously. And we'd wake them up, and then we would hang out with my mom at the top of the stairs while my dad went downstairs to make sure Santa came. And then he would start a fire and then, start making breakfast, and then we would come down.
Yeah.
What about you?
Nearly identical. My sister was always up first. She would wake up at literally 3 a.m. And we'd be like, please, Brooke, go back to sleep. Just like a little bit longer. Even
so
me, who was
early.
excited. Yeah, but we'd sit at the top of the step. That would get, especially when camcorders were still in vogue, which is pretty much like all of our Santa years. My dad would set up kind of the camcorder, get it propped up, maybe come to the bottom of the stairs, film us waiting up there, get the fire going. Yeah. Usually we would do a real breakfast after present opening, but my dad he would kind of turn on the oven and get maybe some of those Pillsbury cinnamon rolls going.
Yeah.
So we could have one or two of those to tie us over until the present opening was done. So yeah, that was the usual, but no movie on Christmas morning. We usually put on music while opening presents.
I don't even know if we had music. I think it was just us chatting and whatever.
Yeah. My mom is kind
of would come
how
too.
your mom is with Hallmark movies. She's that way with Christmas music. It's got to be on repeatedly for months on end. And it kind of turned me off from Christmas music for a while, but I've really come back around to it, and I'm no longer the Grinch.
Dude, I used to work with this one guy, Alex, at KPMG, and for context, all the associates and senior associates, we sat in this very small room together, right? They just shoved us in there, and he would start listening to Christmas music on November 1st.
That's
so
tough.
By the time Christmas rolled around, I was so sick of it for 3 years, 2 years, however long I worked at that.
Yeah. I'm strictly as soon as Thanksgiving's done, I'm good to go. I'm ready. Usually maybe that weekend after Thanksgiving,
perfect
that final weekend of November, Christmas music comes out. You got to get the decorations out and you start thinking about it. That's the ideal for me. All right. Into the Grinch. Why do you think this story, this came out, I think the book, which we're not really covering, but it's the exact same thing as the cartoon. Was 57, I think. This TV movie came out in 66, and we had nothing Grinch until this adaptation in 2000. Why do you think kind of this stuck around in kind of the Christmas culture?
Yeah. The 26-minute animated Grinch show from 1966 has stuck around for 3 reasons. Yeah. The plot is well crafted and it works on a few levels. It's got 2 absolute bangers in a soundtrack, and it works for adults and children at the same time. I think those are the hallmarks of a great Christmas movie.
And I think it's because the iconography of the movie is so strong. I put in here, I always have these vivid mental memories of when the Grinch is getting ready and the way he's cutting the fabric out, or when he's the song is going and he's playing pool with the balls at the tree and smacking them into to his bag to take away. I think they just did a great job of adding some flourishes to the actual movie to make it feel special. Just did a great job.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you want to talk about the 2000 adaptation?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
This movie released November 17th, 2000 in the United States and Canada. This movie made bank, grossed $345 million worldwide, and went on to be the 6th highest grossing film of that year. And it was the highest grossing Christmas movie for 18 years until the 2018 Grinch movie came out. This is what I'm saying about the Grinch. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the budget?
I have no idea. I didn't actually look at the budget for this. I don't think it was that much, because I know that they made a lot of these sets just in the Burbank lot in LA. So let's see, but I bet Jim commanded a lot of that. So $123 million budget. That's pretty high for that time. Probably half of that went to Carrie. So it did pretty well. I mean, I could not imagine a Christmas movie these days. I mean, they don't put a ton of Christmas movies out in theaters. There's maybe like one a year, but that's a ton of money. So my question to kick this off, 2000, what was Nick up to? Do you remember seeing this the first time?
No, I was 9. You know, I was doing what 9-year-olds do. What is that, second grade?
Probably.
So we would have been in...
No, we were in third grade.
Beatlings class.
We were in third grade. Yeah.
Mrs. Iser.
I had Miss
She was
Shirley.
also the kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, wasn't a fan
Shirley.
of her.
I had Mrs. Shirley for math and homeroom.
Yeah, sorry if you listen to this, Mr. Shirley, but you kind of sucked.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, not sure what I was up to. Don't remember seeing this for the first time, but I know I've seen this at least once every year since then. Do you remember what you were up to at night? What were you doing on the exact day this came out in 2000?
I went to see it.
Did you? Opening day? You remember that?
Yeah, so I'd be curious. Ask your mom if you guys saw this in theaters, because we went to see this in theaters, and we went with a friend and their parents, and I can't remember who I went with as a kid. Possible, could have been you. It's possible.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but that is in like, I just don't remember enough, but I do vividly remember seeing this at the Regal in Warrington. So I'd be curious to know if they have any. I bet if I ask my mom, she'll remember. Absolutely. But yeah, we were in third grade. I mean, that's a good time for Christmas movies. I guess in 2000, I was having some suspicions about Christmas at that point already, but I was still deep in the bag of Big Christmas and absolutely loved it. So this movie, I feel like, came out at the perfect time for us. And I think we also, due to our age, had a strong affinity to Jim Carrey already as kids. So this movie came out and it felt like such a big deal. And it might be the only Christmas movie I've seen in theaters, but it was amazing. I mean, they took this 30-minute short and they filled it out, not excessively. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes. Added some background in some areas. So did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the fill out of this, the deeper telling of the story we got here?
I loved it. Yeah, they added. I'm glad that they didn't just make this a whole slapstick, whatever, for 90 minutes. They took the time to take the Grinch, carefully expand on the plot, build characters. I mean, they did it really well. Yeah. They told a real story for, I don't know, 90, 105 minutes, whatever it ended up being.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like they killed it. I think they gave us logical reasons for the Grinch to be, engaging with the Who's more frequently throughout the story as opposed to just stealing their stuff on Christmas Eve. We got the Grinch backstory that, for me, delivered. And you come away with what you need to understand about him. And you finish with the laughs and the heartwarming conclusion that you get of the original. So I feel like if you're just someone who wants to overanalyze and critically assess this movie, I just don't know what to tell you about how you're living your life. But I don't agree with how you're going about it.
One of the things that I didn't appreciate until watching it immediately after watching the cartoon over the weekend was they included pretty much scene for scene all of the 1966 version.
Yeah.
And when they did that, they were playing the same music that was playing in the 1966. I mean, they literally took those parts, put them in, and then just expanded in between. And that was masterfully done. And I don't think I noticed that until I'd watched them both back to back.
Yeah, that scene I talked about that I really love. Him getting his fake Santa outfit ready, and there's just the red fabric hanging, and he's got beat for beat. They mimicked all that.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool to see it come to life. And as a kid, it felt we were still in that era. This was pre IP craze. where we still weren't seeing
Yes.
a ton of adaptations yet. You know, we were before Harry Potter, we were before Lord of the Rings, we were before Hunger Games, all the things we talk about on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I was like, wow, I'm seeing something I know, but in a different format. And it felt insane.
Yeah.
I was like, this is wild. I think maybe to get into the plot of this a little bit, I was thinking, we always talk about who's the real villain. And I have referenced the Grinch as a villain on this podcast already. But as you get older, you start to think, is he just fed up with the commercialization of Christmas? Was he ahead of his time? Give me your thoughts on
Whoa.
what they do with the Grinch story within this, because it's so much deeper than I could have anticipated.
I think we need to back it up even further than Christmas. The real villain is every single Who,
Yeah.
with the two exceptions, Martha and Cindy Lou.
Yeah, you a Martha guy?
Well, Martha was the only one. Okay, like they were so cruel to this poor kid when he was only 8. He finally gets into the Christmas spirit and makes Martha like a little star for the top of her tree, or I'm sorry, an angel for the top of her tree. And he really is trying to buy into everything they've been trying to get him to buy into. And he's, making an effort, and then they just shit on him.
Yeah.
I'd be a monster too if I was treated that. Like that was so awful. It was so sad.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit too real watching it now, where like the one kid who's just an absolute schmuck, the mayor, ends up being like a prominent person in society who like, I'm like, this is a little too real.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing. But yeah, the mayor's definitely the villain of this 2000 adaptation.
Yeah.
Full stop, right?
Pick one singular person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you because it's funny getting the further explanation of why the Grinch has kind of ostracized himself from society, or the society ostracized him because they all suck. Does that work for you? Still, do you like it? Do you like the Grinch backstory?
I do.
Yeah.
I think they filled, to your point, they filled out the Grinch's backstory in a way that is incredibly satisfying from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah. And I thought the scenes were so fun of Cindy kind of doing it's almost like the Last Dance documentary before the Last Dance, where she's going around and interviewing people. It's like I was expecting them to have the iPad in front of them, looking at scenes from their childhood of being mean to the Grinch. And that whole bit was fun, of learning about why he is the way he is and seeing all of that. And then it concludes with him kind of like standing on top of the mountain, veering down. And I don't know, it still works for me. Every time I watch it, I'm like, it hits.
It slaps. You're right.
Yeah, it's good. I do think every time I see that scene, where did the idea of storks delivering babies come from? Because that has to be one of the worst lies that's been conceived, to not tell kids how babies actually happen.
I just Googled storks delivering babies, and the AI overview goes, no, storks do not deliver babies.
Yeah. No, thanks. AI.
It looks like it started, it's like an ancient legend in Europe that's just been changed over and over again. I'm seeing references to ancient Greek mythology, Norse mythology. Yeah. But
yeah. I'm surprised it goes back that far. I'm also just like, why storks?
But in the Grinch movie, it wasn't storks. It was flying baby carriages.
That's right.
With umbrellas.
Yeah. That are just delivered out of nowhere. Goes to these two ladies. They were okay too. I if Cindy and the Grinch are the most redeeming characters in the story, they're in a tier just below, before you get to the rest of the Who's.
If we're going to talk about them, we need to talk about the adult humor in this, working for adults and kids.
Yeah.
Just on those two alone, when he's elected whatever, the cheer master.
Yeah.
They come
Cheermeister.
out, Cheermeister.
Get it right.
He goes, you two are still alive?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like it wasn't even a thought in his mind that like, oh, these two ladies who literally raised me are potentially still down there.
Yeah.
And then he sees them and he's like, you're still alive.
And they have the puppery joke.
Yeah. When he's like, what is that? Some kind of soup?
His heart is down a size and a half, and he looks at the camera and goes, "Then this time I'll keep it off."
Yeah.
Then he says, "Am I eating just because I'm bored?" And then even the scene where the babies are being delivered, they're having a key party. That they're absolutely swingers in Whoville. Like that was wild that they were showing that.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Is this just a cruel prank? What if it's a cash bar?" Like those are the two worst things it could be.
His debate, that whole scene of him just deciding if he's going to go to the jubilation it's just gold. Like as you get older, you empathize with everything going through his mind so much. Like dinner with myself, can't cancel that again.
Yeah.
Like can't try on find an outfit he wants to wear. It was just so good.
He looks at Cindy when they're on their way down with their presents. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "The sun is bright and the powder is bitchin'."
Yeah. I never realized he said, because it's like, it's kind of muffled a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I watched it last night because I saw you wrote this in the doc. And I'm like, I don't remember this line at all. And then I watched it. I'm like, he did say bitchin'.
Yeah, he did.
I had no idea. Like literally none.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, it is good. Do you think it's time to talk about Jim Carrey?
I mean, I'm surprised we haven't got to it yet. Jim Carrey might be my favorite on-screen comedian of all time.
Yeah. Just a statement, throwing it out there.
Full stop.
Full stop. I agree. I think he's the best to ever do it. And I mean, this is no disrespect to others, but I don't even think it's close. I don't think a comedic actor has had the highs of Carrey and the longevity and also the range. You see something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a movie like that. And he had the best year, I think, not even just in comedy history, but in film history for an actor ever in 1994 with Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask all releasing in the same year. It's never been touched since. I don't think it will ever be touched again. And that put him in such a stratosphere above every other actor, not even just comedy actor, that like I don't even think we could fathom an actor doing that these days. It's, if I talk about Carrey, I'll get emotional. I love Jim. And he's the best.
He's on my Mount Rushmore. Is he on yours?
He's number one.
Yeah.
Easy number one. Always been my favorite. Dumb and Dumber is my favorite comedy movie ever. I could write the script of Pet Detective. I just know it, all of his stuff inside and out. He tickles that funny bone just right for me. I could understand if his comedy doesn't work for you. Like I could get that because comedy is a very subjective thing. Mm-hmm. But whatever he's doing, I'm for it.
I find it hard to believe that you can't find a Jim Carrey movie that doesn't work for you. Mm-hmm. Like that you can't just a blanket across the board because to your point about his range.
Yeah.
And listen, some of them like Ace Ventura are super goofy, right? I love that humor. Mm-hmm. So I laugh from start to finish. Yeah. If that one's not for you, I understand, right? That is like peak goofy Jim Carrey. The Mask, same thing.
Yeah.
But there's no way you can look at his filmography and not find a movie that you enjoy.
Yeah. Liar, Liar, Yes Man, just all of them.
Yeah.
I want to throw this one to you because you put something in here. Tell me what you love about his physical comedy, because that is on full display too in this movie.
There's something freeing about seeing another adult or if you're your child, an adult, just be so like freely themselves or like goofy. And like, there's just this, I don't know, I think at some level it's like watching him have the courage to do that is like freeing for when you need courage to do
Yeah.
something that you think is a little bit silly or a little bit goofy. And I think the way he totally embraced, like especially in The Grinch, like the way you totally embrace being like that for the sake of children laughing, like having a good time, being something that they enjoy. It just makes me feel good. And then I just think it's funny. Like, I don't know how to describe like why I think it's funny. I just think it's hysterical on top of those other reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the person who comes most closely to him in this is like a Robin Williams for me, where it's like you can just tell so badly they want to make everyone else around them happy and laugh.
Yes.
And it's just infectious. And Gary he has that quality where it's just like everything he does is funny, even if he's not trying to be, just him being him. And it's like just the way he can move his body is so uniquely hilarious, more than any other comedic actor in history. I think of the beginning walk on the sidewalk in Ace Ventura, the way he moves his head. I think of when he starts the moped in Dumb and Dumber and his like legs are splayed out, like all, goofy looking. And I think even just his manner, his face in The Grinch, the way he can move and manipulate that, he has such a better command of what looks funny on screen for people in the way he can use his body as another tool in his comedy belt. And I just don't think anyone has ever been close to him in that regard.
The way he moves his neck.
Yeah.
Just his neck.
I know.
Is like that. That's all you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's just so good.
The way he makes faces while he's talking. Like, I can't make faces if I'm trying to just make the face. And he's delivering these lines and moving his eyebrows separately. His nose is weirdly flaring from one nostril. And, like, it's like, how do you even begin to go down that route, to figure out you can do that?
I have no idea. And I know how painstaking doing this role was for him with all the makeup, but back to Logan's initial like listener comment, I just could not imagine in a live action version of The Grinch anyone else doing this. Like, he embodied that character and that performance so well that they literally just put him in a suit and makeup and he did it all with his moves, his voice, his face. It was just unbelievable. I don't think of any other actor who could do it.
There probably isn't.
Yeah.
And like you said, like Robin Williams is a great example of an on-screen comedian who has some physical elements to his comedy. Jim Belushi, guys like that. Actually, I don't know if Jim Belushi was alive when this came out, so he may not have been able to be considered. But
Jim Belushi is, but not what's the other Belushi brother? Because Jim Belushi was, according to Jim, he's still alive. John Belushi.
I'm sorry, you're right, John.
He's what's the college sorority movie, fraternity movie?
Animal House.
Animal House, yeah, that guy. Blues Brothers, right?
Yep. But like, they just, on that purely physical, like, you needed the Grinch to be all of that.
Yeah.
There's only one choice.
Yeah. And I think it's so cliche to say. People always talk about how it's easier to do drama as an actor than it is to do comedy and to get people to laugh. And I think Carrey's ability to do comedy, but there's also this just kind of like this way he can emote as an actor that makes you feel so much too, and especially those scenes where he's trying to slip more into the drama aspect or make you feel sympathy for the Grinch in just like we talked about with that scene after his backstory, the way he's kind of sadly peering down on this town that has kicked him out. It's like you feel all of that from Carrey as an actor, and he can wear those emotions so well. He's just unbelievable. And I
have nothing to add. You're right. I have nothing to add to that. I'm
very grateful we got to grow up like in his heyday. It's just kind of when I think of 90s, outside of Sandler, when I think of 90s comedies, I think of Carrie, like full stop. It's just so good. What is your favorite Grinch aspect of the 2000 adaptation?
The way he kept bringing up that he heard there was a check involved in winning
that was
this award
kept trying to flip that in.
Hysterical. He's like, and I heard there was a check. And he's like, I never said there was a check.
Said that. Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, I love that. That is fun.
This?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought it.
Yeah, I think the soundtrack hits really hard. James Horner did it. Most people know him as James Cameron's go-to guy for soundtracks. And it does a thing that I love in these movies that are meant to evoke strong emotional feelings, and something like a Christmas movie where there's kind of a score aspect that kind of recurs and repeats in different ways throughout the movie. And they do that with I don't know scores well enough to describe exactly what it is, but just kind of the tune or the melody of the Where Are You Christmas is used kind of in the beginning, throughout, crescendos during the song, and then is used at the end too. And I thought that was like a real banger they wrote for this.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it was written just for this. I thought it just worked, and that's why they used it. Yeah.
There were also just some really other funny 2000 time capsules on this soundtrack list with, an NSYNC song. There was some Busta Rhymes, Smash Mouth. I was like, wow, Nick, this was our heyday.
It was. That is a time capsule. Jesus. Yeah.
I have a little bit of a controversial take, though, on one aspect of the soundtrack. I was slightly underwhelmed by the You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. For one purpose. I thought it started amazing, and it had a lot of Carrie singing it and doing what I thought was going to be, we mentioned Robin Williams earlier, kind of a Robin Williams Genie in Aladdin song of him doing all the aspects of this. And then I felt like they got a little distracted during the song while he's like setting up to go down to Whoville, where he's like ramming the car into, and it just kind of like disrupts the song a little bit. And that was the only part where I'm like, the original song is so good. And I just want to hear Jim do his funny voices through this entire song. And I felt like they got a little distracted during the movie with it. So that's a little bit of a hot take.
It is a hot take. Disagree.
Yeah, that's all right. Can't win them all.
It's a thought for sure. It's a take. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, or do you want to kind of dish out quickly our awards and wrap this up?
Since we're probably not going to get into any detail, the one fun fact I have that we didn't cover: Cindy Lou Who, Taylor Momsen, rock star now.
Pretty reckless.
Yep. Very different from Cindy Lou Who, but very good nonetheless. If you're into more of the mainstream rock sound, they're a good band. Check them out. They open for a lot of bigger names. You can see them, I think, on tour now, actually, with somebody. I forget who, though.
Yeah, they're great. I like the Pretty Reckless. I also feel like Taylor Momsen in this movie, not like grading child acting, but Cindy Lou Who is a great character.
Yeah.
She's an excellent character.
Absolutely.
And to have like a kid who can not only do the performance, but she sings the song herself, obviously going on to be in a punk rock band. She was awesome in this movie. And it's like the type of thing that could go so wrong and be like, as an adult, you're like, I don't really enjoy watching this. But she's awesome. And like going not against Jim, but like you're trying to hold on to the coattails of like the force that is Carrie in a movie. She was great.
Yep.
I don't know if we really need to give out a best casting award.
Jim Carrey next.
Yeah, it's easy. One thing I will say, I was weirdly old when I realized that Jeffrey Tambor is the mayor. And by weirdly old, I realized that yesterday when I watched this. And that Anthony Hopkins does the narration.
Yeah.
Like, they were really cooking with who they brought into this movie.
Yeah.
Molly Shannon was great as well, I thought, as Cindy's mom. And I really like Christine Baranski, who plays Martha.
They all nailed it.
They really did. There's no weak link. Even Lou, he was fine. Best scene award.
Ooh.
Do you wanna throw some out there, or do you want me to give them to you?
I got for me, clear winner, the jubilation.
Jubilation.
Just
yeah.
period. That whole sequence was
insane.
Hysterical.
Yeah. It's hard to go against that because there's so much happening.
Yeah.
And all the actors are together and getting their moments to just like flex their comedic chops and be completely ridiculous.
Yes. And they all did it, and it was...
Yeah.
Here's another reason why Jim Carrey is also going to win the movie. When Jim Carrey is in something and it's a comedy or something like this, everyone else has to step their game up to try to be one step below him. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
And when they do that, a lot of them, I think, hit home runs when they work with him.
Totally.
And I think a lot of that is Jim Carrey, helping bring that out of people and bringing that to the scenes to give them the space to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why,
That's a great point. And I think that's something that I love so much about Dumb and Dumber is because it would be very easy for Carrey to outshine you. But Jeff Daniels holds his own in that movie so much and gives one of also the best comedic performances in history. And it's probably because he's working with someone who's about to have the most banger year in comedy film history.
Yeah.
And he stepped it up and was insanely hilarious. So I think it does bring a different level when you have that guy in the clubhouse. You bring him in the off season and you're like, wow, we all got to step it up or he's going to think we suck.
Dude, well, I love watching Jim Carrey. Kind of what I was just saying is he knows how to set them up for their jokes to let them shine. And he also is really good at stepping in or stepping out of a scene to get the best version of it. And
totally.
He's, truly a comedic genius.
Yeah. He really is. He knows how to make other people funny. It's a great point.
Yes.
I do love the jubilation. I will give 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
I love the first time Cindy visits him at Mount Crumpet and her not being scared and him trying to scare her. And I think what is so, whenever I see him doing that face real close to the camera, the video that's when you tell your friend not to rile the dog up. And I think it's so perfect because if you're a parent and you bring your kid, the Grinch could be scary, but it immediately disarms all of that because the child in this movie is not scared of the Grinch. And the dynamic he has with Cindy is so good in this movie. I love that scene. And then we already talked about it, the debate of if he's going to go to the jubilation and him just, fretting over it, yelling you're an idiot, into the cave back. Made me laugh when I was 8, made me laugh now. It's just so good. The only other things I wanted to shout out on some of the movie making stuff was the makeup process for this. They talked about how they had to bring in CIA torture experts to coach Jim through how to go through the makeup process.
Because it was 6 hours a day, right?
It was, I can't remember the exact hours. It's out there, but he said it was the worst thing he's ever done in his career and was the reason he has turned down ever doing a sequel, though it's just come out this week that he's open to doing it if he could do mocap instead of full-on makeup.
What is mocap?
That's where you wear those skin-tight suits with the dots on them that capture your emotions.
Oh, motion capture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, it's what we call it in the industry.
In the industry. Yeah, you're an industry insider now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's doing motion capture, I would think that wouldn't
Yeah.
be like
As
that
bad.
taxing.
But yeah, you said it was just like the worst thing. And it would like make him really angry, which is why I think it kind of works in the performance too, when he needs to be angry as the Grinch. The only other bit of trivia that I'm going to throw out there was the tablecloth scene. This is like well known in movie improv history of when he goes and he rips the tablecloth and nothing comes out or nothing falls. Everything was supposed to fall on that first time. So he improvised walking off the screen and then walking back on and just kicking the table over. And that's like one of the best parts of the movie because you're not expecting him to come back and just deck the table. Kills me every time. Did we talk about who won the movie?
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it's Jim.
Next.
Easy. I will say this is a time to give kind of the flowers and the credit to the makeup department and the production design. I felt like they did he looked so good as the Grinch. Like that time sitting in that chair paid off.
Yeah.
That it's very believable. I feel like the world of Whoville, when they're on the set of like at the Whobilation, like it looks so Seuss-esque. They did a great job. So I just wanted to give them a little credit there. What do you give this out of 25 and where does this sit in your Christmas movie rankings roughly?
As an adaptation, I got to give it like a 24.
Yeah.
The Grinch gets a 24 out of 25 for me. It's in my top 5 from Christmas movies. And I don't have the other 4 for you right now. But I know that this is in the top 5.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Maybe it's being in the Christmas spirit right now. This is a 24 out of 25. It's not exactly perfect, but this movie does everything I want a Christmas movie to do. And I leave feeling so warm and happy every time. It's top 3 Christmas movies for me. But though, like, I'm kind of with you. My top 5 are movies that I just love. All of them in a pretty equal fashion. Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, The Santa Claus, Die Hard, Muppet Christmas Carol. Big fan of that one.
Classic.
That would be a good one to cover. We could do that maybe next year because Christmas Carol's very known adaptation. But this is a great one. Anything else you got to say on the Grinch?
No. Go watch it, honestly, if you haven't. If you're trying to get in the Christmas spirit, it's a good one.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for listening, everybody. Next episode is going to be our bonus episode covering our best of the year. But after that, we are celebrating Nick's birthday. He is elected Twilight. Not been allowed to veto this as a birthday gift, so we're doing it. I'm halfway through. Oh, brother. Yeah.
It's everything I wanted out of my birthday read is you reading this book.
God. Yeah.
I can't wait for you to watch the movie.
Yeah, we'll save it. This is going to be something. Better than Argyle? Who's to say? If you have any thoughts or questions you want to share, please reach out to us, rewatchplaypod@gmail.com, message us on Instagram at rewatchplaypodcast. Also on all your major platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate and review, and have a good holiday season, everyone. We appreciate you listening this year. It's been a great year for the pod. Nick, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. It's good doing this, buddy.